Utilities.
Senator Dodd, the floor is yours.
Madam President and members, I rise to present the conference report on SB 901 pertaining to wildfire response and prevention. We all sadly remember the wildfire catastrophe that struck my district and the districts of several of our colleagues last year. We remember nearly 7,000 families lost homes and all their possessions. We remember 44 people died. And we remember what happened in October 2017 in the North Bay, repeated itself in Southern California within 2 months, and this year's wildfires show that it's a continuing problem. We know it's certain to happen again if this legislature, electric utilities, local governments, landowners, first responders, and others don't come together and take action right now. From the start of this year, my highest priority was and remains responding to past wildfires and preventing future tragedies. My goals were simple: to stand up for the fire victims, those who lost everything, to have them recover all they are entitled to for the damage that they suffered, to protect our fellow Californians from facing new wildfire destruction, and to hold electric utilities accountable and protect the long-term interest of ratepayers throughout California. SB 901 is a comprehensive approach that attacks the problem on multiple levels. First, SB 901 responds to climate change by improving our forests and wildlands management. SB 901 does this by streamlining forest practice regulations and reducing restrictions to encourage and expedite removal of dead and dying trees and chaparral, creating incentives for landowners to fire treat their property, reducing CEQA requirements for timber harvesting when there is an assessment already done under NEPA, requiring conservation easements for timberland to include long-term fuel reduction commitments, updating regulations for fuel breaks and green belts near communities for more fire protection, and requiring CAL FIRE to create the Wildfire Resiliency Program, among other things. SB 901 commits real financial resources to the fuel reduction effort by requiring the legislature to appropriate $200 million in greenhouse gas reduction funds to CAL FIRE annually for the next 5 years. That's $1 billion for healthy forest and fire prevention programs throughout the state of California. SB 901 also addresses the critical issue of disposing of wood waste cleared from forest by extending contracts for biomass generators in many areas of the state for up to 5 more years beyond the current year's contract, a total of 10 years. Second, SB 901 will make operation of the electrical grid safer and more resilient with new regs that increase vegetation removal, de-energizing of power lines and deactivating reclosures during windstorms, modernizing grid infrastructure, and maintaining an adequately sized workforce to respond to emergencies, among other safety and resiliency actions. The bill requires the CPUC to perform risk assessments to ensure that each proposed safety measure returns the biggest benefit for the ratepayer dollar when considering a plan approval. The bill requires independent evaluation of utility compliance with mitigation plans and doubles the amount of fines that can be levied upon a utility for failure to comply. And by the way, the bill prohibits fines and penalties from utilities from being tacked on to rates, as well as any executive compensation. These costs will all be borne by the shareholders moving forward. And third, we must protect and provide ratepayers protection. Members, this must be, it absolutely is, the most misunderstood part of SB 901. The CPUC has always been authorized to allow a utility recover rates, costs, and expenses that are deemed just and reasonable. For utility-related wildfire costs going forward, SB 901 enhances the review criteria the CPUC must use to determine what is just and reasonable when determining rate recovery. For utility-related wildfire costs attributable to fires in 2017, the CPUC will use a stress test, a forensic audit, if you will, to extract the maximum amount possible from the utility investors. And the CPUC will require the utility to absorb all those costs up to the point of insolvency. In both instances, 2017 and future fires, SB 901 allows the utilities to use a ratepayer protection bond to finance debt for the purpose of minimizing or leveling ratepayer impacts. Members, let me make one thing clear. If we do not provide a debt stabilizing mechanism for the utility, in this case PG&E, the corporation will certainly face higher borrowing costs, which will translate into significantly higher rates. Or this company may very well face bankruptcy. But what does bankruptcy mean? It means that so many of our constituents who are uninsured or underinsured will likely not recover from wildfire devastation. And quite frankly, colleagues, we just cannot allow that to happen. Bankruptcy means a spike in utility rates as corporate restructuring takes place, and the costs of that restructuring are passed along to the ratepayers by a court, not the CPUC. It means that the capital needed to maintain reliable electrical service will be hard and expensive to come by, and the electric system integrity, safety, and reliability will be at risk. Finally, it means billions of dollars in renewable energy contracts are lost, and our policy to achieve all renewable power and all new renewable power supply and reduce GHG emissions will suffer a severe setback, not to mention a loss of tens of thousands of jobs in California. Without action, ratepayers will be left holding the bag and communities will needlessly suffer. SB 901 is necessary to protect our communities from monstrous wildfires in the future and the loss of property and even the loss of life. Necessary to enhance the safety and reliability and resilience of our electric system. Necessary to reduce regulatory burdens on landowners so they can take the initiative to reduce material on their property that fuels wildfires. Necessary to hold utilities accountable when they fail to operate and manage the electric system to the highest standards of safety. Necessary to minimize ratepayer impacts, which are certain to result in a utility's financial downgrade or collapse. We have done everything we could to protect victims and ratepayers in this package. SB 901 has broad support from local government, first responders, labor, insurers, environmental organizations, and many, many more. In conclusion, I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you to the many people who helped make SB 901 a reality. First, I want to thank my fellow conferees and their staffs of Senator Stone, Senator Cannella, Senator Jackson, and Senator Waso, who sat through 7 hearings totaling nearly 20 hours and taking the time to understand some very complex subject matters. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank Senator Hertzberg, who's helped me negotiate some of these points in the other House. I want to thank Pro Tem Atkins and her incredible staff for putting in so much time and expertise. They were absolutely incredible, and we could not have done this without them. I also want to thank the conferees in the other House, and lastly, I want to express my appreciation to Governor Brown and his staff that worked very, very hard with us every step of the way. Members, I ask for your aye vote on SB 901, the Conference Committee report. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Dodd.